So, Valentine's Day came and went, so I guess what I'm saying is that this video is late to the commercial party. Have some cynicism! But I think it's time we had a romance-related video on this channel, so here you fucking go. Top 10 love interests in gaming. But it's best we discuss the rules of engagement before we started. Engagement. This video will not be focused on video game couples, so characters who aren't the player character don't count on this list. Unless you play as multiple characters, in which case then it's okay. So what does count then? Well, this is a list on characters who would make a great partner for the character you are playing as. This isn't TrueView's own crush list, but will instead focus on characters who are right for the character you are playing as, rather than yourself. So the key thing here is to keep in mind what your character is currently going through, and which character would best suit them. And in the interest of keeping things open and fair, this video will include both male and female characters, regardless of the gender you are playing as. Oh, and only one character per franchise. That goes without saying. So with that aside, let's get this list rolling. Elizabeth Comstock. No! No, 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 no. That's your daughter! It's wrong on so many levels! Sorry about that, let's try that again. Jenny Romano. Jackie Estacado hasn't exactly lived a moral life, and thank fuck I got his name right this time. Having grown up under the thumb of a mafia family, he's been forced to commit certain crimes in the name of said family, and having an ancient and malevolent entity awaken in him probably isn't going to help the situation either. What he needs now more than anything is something to bring him back down to earth and give him something to hold on to. Something to keep his humanity alive and as a means of escaping the horrors that life has thrown at him. Enter Jenny Romano. Jenny might not be privy to what exactly is going on in Jackie's life, and I'm not sure how that conversation would go if he tried to break the news about the darkness living inside of him, but Jenny is there to wash away the stress that he's accumulated. She's there for him as much as she can be. Jackie might have had the worst day ever, but the moment he sees Jenny, he breathes a sigh of relief knowing that in this very moment in time, all is well. Kate! Okay, what the fuck is a drug-addicted psychopath doing on this list about love interests? Surely she's the absolute worst candidate out there. Well, ordinarily I'd agree with you on that, but think about it for a second. What universe are we talking about here? That's right, it's Fallout. A world that has been burnt by nuclear war and hasn't truly recovered over the centuries. The world is filled with raiders and bandits and thugs and gangs and shit. It's a hostile place, even when you put aside the tick-tick-tickety. So if you're suddenly forced to live in such a harsh environment, how do you go about surviving each day? Well, while this isn't exactly the most ideal course of action to take, the best thing to do if you're trying to survive is to become as nasty as everyone around you. So now, when we go back to who would make the perfect partner in this situation, I'm gonna say Kate. If you want a relationship and have it last, then find someone who will be willing to become your partner, but is just as bad as everyone else. If she loved you, then she wouldn't let a single raider touch you, and anyone who would get in your way would die horribly. The only reason she's quite low on this list is because she's in dire need of a wash. She's probably not even familiar with the concept of hygiene. Kian Alvane. A lot has been forced onto Zoe Castillo's shoulders. She's gone through the events of Dreamfall when some shit happened, including finding out that Batman died, also known as April Ryan. But now she's trying to start afresh in Coruscant with her boyfriend who might be a spy, we're not exactly sure, while working for either a prestigious biotech company, or working in a shitty garage and having to deal with shitbot. Incidentally, the garage is the best place to work, believe it or not. The other option is just boring. And then with shit happening in both Stark and Arcadia, Zoe is forced to, once again, go between the two worlds and get shit done, and you know what? Having some help would be nice. Having someone to rely on, or maybe turn to and just unload all of your worries onto, Or maybe just cuddle up on the sofa because your current boyfriend had a go at you for bringing him the wrong lunch, so he's a no-go. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? So when I thought about who would be best for Zoe, I thought that Kian would be the best. He has strong morals, but is also quite caring. He'd defend you to the death if need be. He knows what's important in life, and would always prioritise that above all, and I'm pretty sure that Zoe has a thing for him anyway. Not that anything would happen, because Kian is actually gay. No, seriously, he said it himself at one point, and I nearly spat my drink out when he said it, because that line came out of nowhere. So I guess he's low on this list because, while he would be great for the player character, he wouldn't be interested anyway. Alistar! Now, many of you are going to be furious that Morrigan isn't on here, but while I totally get why everyone else liked her, I did too. When it comes to love interests, she's not exactly the best pick now, is she? Her mother is a powerful witch, and Morrigan herself is a shape-shifting freak who doesn't understand why no one appreciates a good murder every now and then. What we need now more than anything in this blight-filled world is a bit of stability. And Alistar doesn't cut it either, but he comes close. Okay, so you get the option of having him become king, but just imagine that. Being the king's boyfriend, or girlfriend, or whatever. People will be lining up to have you assassinated. But I digress. Alistar kind of reminds me of Nathan Drake in that he's very charismatic and witty and easy on the eyes too if you're looking for a decent guy in this not-so-decent world. And while all of the other male characters provide some decent lines and witty humour, Alistar stands out far more than anyone else does. He knows how to sum up a situation, and is able to make all of those around him relax more. If anyone in your party is to take the title of love interest, then I'm gonna have to go with Alistar. Morrigan's still best girl though. Triss Merigold! I'll admit that Triss wasn't my favourite girl in The Witcher. That spot was taken by Yennefer, and that was only because of that sexy black hair. God damn! But I will say this. When it comes to romantic partners for Geralt, I've got to go with Triss. Triss fucking loves Geralt. There's no denying it. And this is obvious considering that she's spending a lot of time with him instead of hanging out with the Witches Club because she didn't get permission to leave, and that's bad. She's also the best person to relax with, and I'm not necessarily referring to that bath scene in The Witcher 2. You see, Triss isn't just a love interest. She's also one of your best friends. She's someone you can have an intimate moment with, but she's also someone you can just hang out with and have fun. Which is important, considering everything that's getting thrown at Geralt these days. Okay, he had his hands full trying to find Ciri, but a bit of R&R was certainly needed after being labelled a Kingslayer, and Triss was the only true person to understand that, and was willing to be there for Geralt.
Mambo No.
Bastila Shan! Initially, I dismissed the idea of having Bastila on here, because it seemed that all she did in Knights of the Old Republic was tail you off for most of the game before switching to the dark side. But then I thought, why is she telling me off in the first place? I knew all along, but she still got on my nerves, but the only reason Bastila gives you a hard time is because she cares. She wants you to become the greatest Jedi that you could be, and to be a shining example for the rest of the galaxy. I mean, it's obvious who's going to wear the pants in this relationship, and you'll probably need permission to hang out with your mates, but underneath her bossy exterior lies a lot of heart. And hopefully some black lingerie. And to be fair, you need someone like this right now because you spent, what, about 2 weeks learning to be a Jedi, while everyone else needs 25 years? So if you're going to go off into the field so soon, you need someone to hold your hand and talk you through it. Through the ways of the Force, that is, not the lingerie. Sheena Mayuri! Look, just call me a closet weeb and move on, thanks. But for anyone who's either read the visual novel or watched the anime, then I'm sure you can all totally get behind me in saying that Mayuri would have been the best person to form a relationship with Okabe. Now, I know that you don't all actually agree with me on that, because yes, I can hear you screaming Kurisu right now. But I'd say that, while Kurisu comes very close to earning this title, she was lacking in something that Mayuri had, and that was perspective. Yes, Kurisu had brains, personality, looks, as well as looks that could kill, but she even admits it herself, that when things got too deep for them... This is turning into an innuendo, isn't it? When things got shit, Mayuri was the only one who was able to grasp the bigger picture, and I'd argue that because of that, she was able to be there for Okabe far more than any of the other characters. Mayuri does love him. Okay, mostly as a friend, but I wouldn't put it past her to actually have feelings for him. But I'd also say that her love for him is completely 100% pure. It's Andrek's puppy soft pure. Completely selfless and caring, but with tons of heart, and that's why I felt that she would have been a far better candidate as a love interest than Kurisu. No hate on Christina though. Garrus Vicarian. Couldn't do a list of love interests and not mention Mass Effect, but I didn't realise how much of a fanbase Garrus had until I started this list. He has an enormous female fanbase, and now that I think about it, I can understand why. But true, he's an alien! Yeah, but my favourite girl was Tali, you know, the space elf, so I can't really offer a decent counter-argument, I guess is what I'm saying. I'll see your logical arguments and I'll raise you a poorly thought out comeback. But compared to everyone else, while Garrus has issues like all of them, I'd say that he probably has the least amount of baggage with him. He's also quite charismatic and funny, especially when he's not trying to be funny, leading to some lines of his that you just turn to him and go, what? And though I'd imagine that most people would pick Jacob as best guy in the franchise, really? He was such a pussy in Mass Effect 3. While Garrus comes across as someone dependable, someone who you'd feel safe with, wrapped up in those big strong arms of his. Excuse me for a second. I need to get back to my normal self, and that can only be done by drinking a beer as fast as I can and slapping some titties. Nagisa Furukawa. I don't usually buy into the slice of life scene, as it's not exactly my very British cup of tea, but Clannad is the exception to the rule. And it's a long novel, with about 15 routes, don't quote me on that. But when considering who would be the best love interest out of all of them, there's a reason why most people say Nagisa, and that's not because she's weak or a dope or shy or whatever. Not really selling her here. But it's because of what she unwittingly does for Tomoya. Considering that right up until the moment he first met her, he was just shuffling his way through life, not giving a fuck and letting his life collapse all around him, having come to the conclusion that he has no reason to live. But now all of a sudden, a very timid girl in the form of Nagisa has run across his path and he's been taken completely off guard because of it. Because of her very nature, Tomoya has decided to focus on helping her out, mainly out of curiosity, but in doing so, has found both a reason to live as well as a love interest. Nagisa doesn't exactly go out of her way to be there for Tomoya, mainly because she's quite oblivious to what's going on around her, but without realising it, she's turned his life around and given him a newfound purpose. No one else can say the same, considering that with the exception of Kyo, who Tomoya already knows, everyone else he helps out was because he originally bumped into Nagisa. Therefore, she's the best love interest here. No arguments, okay? Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Alex Vance! And finally, in at number 1 is Alex Vance herself from Half-Life 2. True review, I have not forgotten about your very first video. You said that you didn't care for her. Wait, I had a first video? But don't forget the rules of this list. This isn't about characters who would be great for me, it's about characters who would be great for your character. I still don't care about Alex. I found her to be irritating. She acts like she knows you so well, even though Gordon doesn't say a fucking word the entire time. But while you could argue that the only reason why Gordon doesn't speak is because he's having a very long and drawn out nervous breakdown, though we all know it's because of player projection, it still cannot be forgotten that Alex is by far the most supportive and caring character in the Half-Life series. She goes out of her way to help you. She does her very best to make you feel comfortable and accepted by the Resistance or whatever it's called. In this hell on earth, thanks to the Nazi Combine, Alex is the only one around you who is willing to forget about the problems that she is facing, because no one has stopped to think about how Gordon is feeling. Either that or she just wants to smash, but regardless, for this reason alone, Alex Vance makes it in at number 1 on this list. And that's it for now, but if you want to smash, then like this video and subscribe to my channel. Hope you all haven't forgotten I'm on Twitter as True of You, where I post which video will be out next and when, and I'm also on Patreon if you want to support this channel further, or else. But until next we meet, see ya!
Sometimes I think this life is killing me. Sometimes I think this life is killing me.